Hey guys, back for another special episode with my amazing wife Melanie, who has been on this crazy music business journey, and especially with signing record deals.
Yep.
Do you remember when we used to go down to Nashville and try to get signed and meet these people and, oh, you should talk to this person? And
Yeah, we'd literally be walking like on the streets of Nashville during like
GMA
week, yeah, and we'd be like, oh my gosh, there's that guy.
Yeah.
There's that like dude that like A&R. We should go talk to him.
Or the club downtown Toronto. Oh, this guy from Universal Music.
That's him. Go talk to him. Go say hi.
You know, give him your demo and just.
We'd have like a backpack with us at all times with like your albums in it.
This
demos.
person is gonna put me in my dreams.
Yeah, yeah.
Really, what I feel like I've learned is that like signing a record deal is not the end of the journey. If anything, that's the beginning.
Yeah, you're not signing up for everyone else to do your job for you. It's definitely you're signing up for a totally different journey. And yeah, I have a lot of things I could say about that.
Because like when we had already released an EP and an album, you did all the artwork and everything like that. And again, if you guys need artwork, go to visioncityart.com, get yourself a package. You did all the art for that, and even when we got signed, you did the art. You handed it in to them.
Yeah, like for example, we had a licensing deal, so that gave us a little bit more control.
What's a licensing deal for those that don't know?
So licensing deal is when you still own the masters, you still own your own music, and the label is coming alongside you to put your album out using their channels. And yeah, it's you know, it's still a record deal, but you maintain control.
Yeah,
and
they license it for a period of time.
Yeah, they license it for a certain amount of time, and then you eventually get your albums back.
Yes.
Is that the right way of describing it?
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
That's good. And so, you know, and I think they offered to do the art and stuff, but we were control freaks in a good way, I feel like.
Well,
sometimes.
I feel like they were like, oh, cool, we don't have to do anything. They want to do their art, awesome. Like, if it sucks, we'll tell them we don't like it. But thankfully, they liked it, so.
Yeah, we still like, you know, took a lot of pride in ownership, and you know, just we weren't expecting someone just to do all the work for us. Heck, if we did that, we wouldn't be in the music business still.
Well, yeah, and like in our case, we were still paying for a lot of things. So if we had somebody else do the artwork, for example, we probably would have been having to pay that out of our own pocket, right? So in certain deals, they might pay for more up front, but then they own you. So
yeah, you're having to pay for that through record sales
like
and royalties,
10 times
right?
over. So it's sort of like, you know, we took the let's keep as much control as we can.
Bootstrap it.
Let's bootstrap it, and they still had their say. They still like gave us approvals on things and what they liked and didn't like. But we wanted people to like it. You want your team to like be excited about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely.
Do you remember when we danced around the condo when we finally signed the contract, which took about 9 months to negotiate?
Yeah, I remember we were like, we made it. We're like signed now, and all this stuff. And then we went into like 30 grand of debt overnight. So
I remember the exec called me on the phone. Like I randomly got a phone. Okay, gonna do a licensing deal, license the record. Let's just do this. And we finally it was done. Right?
Yeah. And I remember there was times where you like were hoping to get like a full deal and stuff like that, and we felt really discouraged, and you felt discouraged. But in the end, we're thankful that we were able to maintain control and have a licensing deal set up.
Yeah.
You know. And now being free agents, I think we're happy about that.
Yeah, or else we wouldn't have the income coming in from them
Well, yeah, like, I don't know if you want to talk percentages, but like...
Sure.
You know, I think it was like, the licensing deal was like 78%.
Yeah.
So, I could be getting that slightly up.
They got 78%.
They got 78%.
We got 22%.
So, we're working our butts off. We're on tour, sleeping on floors, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's something to think about, right?
Yeah.
Like about... And this is, I think, why you're so passionate about teaching people how to do it without a record label entirely, so you can actually maintain 100% of your income and actually really control it.
Because if you think about it, it's like we were working for the label essentially for a while because they were getting the most of the income.
Yeah.
But at least I don't even know if we saw this far. At least we knew after the deal was done, we'd eventually get our babies back. So it's like...
I think it was sort of there. Like, we were just so busy. We were trying to just survive. That we were like, okay, what's the next tour? We got to get on tour or else we're like broke, you know?
Yeah.
And then I would be working at home and then like leaving with you on tour and come back home and doing a bit of work. And so it was just kind of a crazy time.
And obviously, I know we wouldn't re-sign right now necessarily with anyone. We'd stay independent, or you'd probably punch me in the face.
I'd probably kill you, yeah.
But there have been some deals that...
Unless there's some crazy deal now where they come out and they're like, here, we'll just give you like 99% of everything.
Yeah.
And we'll take one, you know?
Or
something crazy like that. But that would probably be the only way I'd do it.
Unless they actually... Because there's a lot of promises made, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember the deal that you told me not to re-sign?
Yeah.
And I had the manager and consultant saying, sign this deal, and then I have my wife who
We were sitting on carpet. I remember we were sitting down in our like little mini apartment in California.
Yeah.
And I was like, we shouldn't do this. And I just like knew it, like, you know, and it was hard. But we did.
I didn't listen to you.
No, you didn't listen to me. And the thing is, like, obviously, like, I don't know everything. Like, I get it wrong a lot. So,
you were right.
But I had a definite mama intuition moment there, and yeah, we had to work through that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Thank God it was only 2 records.
Yeah.
It was a $60,000.
But like
advance.
5 years each, right? It was a certain amount of years.
They had the records for 4 to 5 years. Yeah, 5 years.
So that's a lot of time to not be making all that income and having to figure out a way to like survive otherwise. Like it was a lot.
And what's funny is, I don't know if you remember, but I was like, it's 60 grand. It's 60 grand. And that seemed like a lot at the time. And so maybe that shiny object or whatever seemed really good. But then you sign and then they go, oh, well, we're actually only going to give you half.
We've already spent that money.
No, we're only going to give you half.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get the other half when you turn in the record. So it was kind of like this, you know, it's like, oh, and then you only get half. It's like 30. That's not really, and we paid for the record.
Yeah.
You know, we had to pay for the record out of that.
Yeah, we paid for the record. We did all the artwork. We, you know, I think Stace did the videos, right? Yeah. So we did everything, you know, through our own kind of internal team.
Right.
And
yeah, you did the artwork, the photography. We did everything in Vegas.
It was a lot.
You know, and so we still kept that indie whatever mentality, and I'll maybe can spark it off, and I want your opinion, obviously, and because you went through it with me. But like, there was a lot of promises I think made going forward because we were on this upswing, and that's why we were kind of in this negotiation position to get more money, which seemed great and all, and you know, we expected to sell even more records, but the next 2 records didn't do as good. Yeah,
I mean, it was you think that a label's going to come alongside of you and their team and their like radio people and all this stuff is going to make this big thing happen, and that's not always the case.
Yeah.
And so we had to still be thinking it all through. We had to be thinking like, what are we going to bring to the table? How are we going to, you know, problem solve and like make opportunities for ourselves?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of artists, they think, oh cool, I'm good now. I can like put my hands up, I can chill now and let my managers do everything. And I think the more you give away control, the less, you know, well, obviously you're in control, so the less you can kind of steer your own life and career.
Yeah.
So I think always keeping a pulse on it.
I love what you said there, and let's just unpack that a bit with, you know, we still looked for opportunities. We made opportunities.
Yeah, like I remember you were like, I'm going to like contact sponsors, you know.
Right.
I'm going to find like skate companies that will sponsor this tour, you know. Or I'm going to like call up my different friends in different industries and see who can be involved, you know. Right. Who can like come out and be an extra in a video. You know, like we're just always thinking, you know.
Yeah.
Like always keep thinking.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like such a silly thing to say, but whenever you kind of relinquish control, you kind of take off the thinking hat.
Yeah. And
don't just keep thinking only reserved for creating music.
Right.
It's about like, wait, I need to like think of how I'm going to really connect to my fans, you know? Because the more you're connected to your fans, that's how you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
Period.
Do you remember, I just thought of this, I think it was the Glory album, but we actually sold a few sponsorship spots on the artwork. Do you remember that? I actually got people to pay us, I think like $1,000 each or more, to have their little logo somewhere in the artwork or on the back. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I think so. Or like on posters.
That definitely for
like
tours.
You'd be wearing certain clothing.
Yeah. Sometimes we get clothes, sometimes we get money, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it all counts though. It all adds up.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, yeah, there's different ways of getting sponsorships on tours or just different initiatives, you know?
Yeah.
And even if now, like nowadays, a lot of things could be online. So like you
Yeah.
could even get a sponsor to be part of an online performance.
Yeah.
You know, like you playing a video or like a commercial for this other, you know, sponsor that relates to your music though, right?
Mhm.
You don't want it to be like Mountain Dew, like random. Like it could be something that's like to you know, to do with your album.
Yeah. So we probably wouldn't sign a record deal again now because, you know,
Unless the structuring is like completely changed.
like I believe I would rather have 50% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape. But I would need to know and have confidence that they could do something. Like right now, we're not blowing up in Japan like we used to be. So if EMI Japan or Universal or whatever came with a deal, like especially if I'm not doing anything right now,
Right.
we would do that because they're bringing an opportunity and it's only this big. But if I can get a piece that's smaller but out of a bigger pie, why wouldn't
if
I?
it makes sense, then that's cool. You know, I think it's like it's just honestly, it's really common sense. Like how much of your like you know, there's only so much you can do. Like
Yes.
you know, there's only so much power you have, so much time you have, and energy you have. So if you have people in different parts of the world that can be like, you know, expanding your audience, then that makes sense, right? But in our case, you know, you were already touring America, you were already like in North America anyway. So it was kind of like we were doing our own thing in a way.
Yeah.
So having those specific like, you know, licensing deals, it kind of wasn't as helpful as it probably could have been.
Yeah.
And we were giving away so much of what you were building.
Right.
Or we were building.
Yeah.
And it was a huge lesson learned, for sure.
Yeah, people, I guess a lot of artists don't realize we didn't know.
Yeah.
You could, well, maybe we did, I don't know. You can hire your own radio. You could hire your own publicity if you want to do that, which we don't even hire publicity anymore.
No.
You know, obviously we can do our own Facebook and Instagram ads. That's for sure. YouTube. Like, it's just a different world.
It forced us to think.
Right.
It forced us to like dig our feet down and be like, we're gonna have to figure this out, or we're gonna have to get jobs. Like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It was like a sink or swim moment.
So what do you say to artists who are thinking about signing a record deal?
Well, I think it depends on how much control you want to maintain of your music.
Right.
There are so many huge artists right now we are like our heroes who are broke.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that and think about, you know, like I don't want to totally throw stones at record labels, but honestly, with the structure of labels right now, I don't see how it's as beneficial unless it's like, you know, makes sense for you in your life. So you have to kind of really weigh out the pros and cons. But I would maintain some control, man. I would fight for a licensing deal at least.
Yeah.
To
get it back.
Yeah, or like just to maintain control of your masters.
Right.
Like your masters are like your babies. They're like your kids.
Yeah.
So I would honestly, if you want my straight up opinion, I would say hold on to your masters at all costs.
Yeah.
So.
License it for a period of time. But
license it. Let them do their thing. See what they can do with it.
Yeah. Put a clause in there. Like
and please, for the love of the Lord, please get an entertainment lawyer.
Yeah.
To look over everything. It's going to cost you some money up front, but please do that. And an accountant.
Yeah, it saved us a lot of money. Yeah, I always use an accountant. That's a whole other story.
Oh my gosh, it's a whole other story. Get an accountant early.
What's our biggest expense?
Taxes.
Didn't realize.
Well, we live in Canada, so.
America's pretty rough though too.
Yeah, California's pretty rough. California's the highest taxed state, I believe, in America. So.
The corporation helps shield us from taxes though, doesn't it?
It does. Are we really getting into tax? Oh wow. Yeah. Okay, we're going deep. So yeah, like when you own a corporation, you're taxed at a way lower bracket, especially in Canada.
Yeah.
I can't speak into.
It's
America.
The same in the U.S. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it is because it's a bit more of a tax haven because you're actually just all the income within that corporation is taxed at like. I think 11-12%, depending on what you do.
Yeah.
But like here, it's minimum is like 28.
If you take a personal.
Yeah, so your personal income is like 3 times that basically to start.
Right.
So it might be worthwhile to register as a corporation, and a corporation is, and I'm clearly,
not financial advice.
Clearly not financial person. I'm a graphic designer. Please don't like comment bad about me, But yeah, a corporation is sort of like setting up a separate entity.
Yeah.
So it's like a corporation has its own name. It's like it's its own person.
Right.
So that person, right, is taxed at a lower rate. So that's a whole other topic. It's something that you really need to have an accountant
If you're
on.
making a certain amount of money, I think it's good for people to go in there, because like obviously, I think it was in Canada, and obviously you got to check whatever state, but I think anything above or less 30,000 or less, you're not taxed.
Yeah.
But when you start making like 80, 100K, you might want to consider a corporation so you're getting a lower tax. But then only take out the money you need personally, like live on like nothing and write everything you possibly legally can for the business.
Yeah, and that's where keeping like I mean, now it's so easy to keep receipts. When we started, like we used to have like physical receipts.
Right.
We used to have like a bag. I remember our first time we walked into our accountant's office, we were like, I felt like we were like 10 years old, but we were actually like 18, 19, whatever. And we walked in with a backpack. We're like, hey, we got our tax receipts. And the guy's like, I'm going to charge you guys top dollar. And he was like, he taught us a lesson, and he's like, you kids are going to learn.
He saved us a lot of money though.
He saved us a lot of money, but now you can actually track everything. So just keep all your expenses on one credit card, whatever, all in one account. Keep everything clean, and save yourself a ton of bookkeeping and drama.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, gotta watch those expenses and that money. You know, you want to make a lot of money, which I felt like we could go make it, but then you if you don't have these set up, the government will end up taking it all. So
you have to keep track of what you're spending on your music. So when you're going to the studio, how much is that costing you every day? How much is it costing you to hire your designer or the different people on your team? All of that are expenses. So whether you're in a corporation or you're just going by your personal name, right? You're technically self-employed, right? So if you're under a self-employed personal name, you need to show all those expenses to bring that income down. And if you don't, you'll be paying on every dollar you earned.
That you don't write off.
So you have to use all your expenses to write off. And the other thing you can also use is like your donations. So if you're donating to certain causes and stuff, you can use that to help bring down your income.
Write off a portion of your house if it's the studio or your rent.
Yeah, like if you like work in the studio in your basement or in like a certain part of your apartment or whatever, you can actually use that percentage of your living space and actually write it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. I wish we knew this stuff earlier. I would say easily we've probably given the government at least an extra 100, 200, well probably at least 200, if not a quarter.
I'm afraid to ask. I don't. There's so many things that we did wrong that the government's made like a lot off of us extra.
That's why we call this smart music business, because we've already made the dumb mistakes. And we'll end it there. But again, guys, if you need artwork design, go to visioncityart.com. Get yourself a package. If you need more coaching, check out the courses, the books. Just go to smartmusicbusiness.com, and we just want to see you win. We want to see you be successful. We've made a lot of mistakes along the way, and we want to help you avoid the ones that we made. Peace.